Hi, this is Rose Zinniger with the Cake Decorating School and Rosie's Sweet Art Studio. Today I'm going to be showing you how to put together a gum paste plumeria. And here is an example of some of the finished plumerias that I've already created. What you're going to want to start with is you will want to start with some satin ice, pre-made gum paste, or you can make your own. Some of the tools that I will be using is a petal pad, which is what we're going to be thinning out our petals with. You'll need a rolling pin, and if you can find yourself a smaller rolling pin that's pretty durable, this is great to go ahead and thin your petals down with. This is a dust puff, and it's filled with cornstarch, also a cocktail stick or a toothpick, and then a little container to create your gum glue with. And then the cutters that I'm using are the FMM Rose Petal Set. And I really like this because you can make a number of different types of flowers with it. For this flower, for the plumeria, I'm using the second to the largest cutter. So I'm going to put these other ones aside, and then this is the one that I'm going to use. Some of the other tools that I have this is called a practice pad, and what I typically will do is put all the petals underneath so that they will stay moist and they don't dry out. Then I have a little bit of shelf liner, vegetable mat that I'm going to roll out on, and I'm ready to go. So what you want to do first is you need to create your gum glue, and in order to create that, you can either use Tylose powder and water, or you can take a little bit of the gum paste, put it in your container, and you want to take bottled water. You don't want tap water. Sometimes the tap water is discolored, and then you're going to put in a couple capfuls. And what's going to happen is it's going to dissolve the gum paste and create a really sticky glue. So you'll also need a brush for this. Then what we want to do is we want to take our gum paste and we want to condition it. Those of you that are new to gum paste is very similar to fondant, and it is edible. Not too many people do eat it. Usually decorators and home hobbyists will be using gum paste for decorations, but it is edible. So I'm going to take a small amount. Conditioning means to massage your gum paste, and what we want to do is we want to make it nice and smooth. We want to make sure that we don't have any cracks whatsoever. So once it's smooth like this, and it's I'm in Southern California, so it's a pretty warm day, so it doesn't take too long, but it needs to be nice and smooth. Then what you want to do is you'll bring it over to your mat, and if it gets sticky, then you'll use a little bit of cornstarch. If not, then I would say don't use cornstarch, because that will tend to dry out your gum paste. Now as I roll, I'm going to turn. Do not flip your gum paste, because it's sticky on this side and you'll tend to end up with a little bit of a mess. And what I want to do is I want to roll this out to about the height of a dime, and that's about a 1/16 of an inch if you were measuring. So it's going to be, pretty thin, not too thin, because then once we cut, then we're going to roll and elongate. So then once I have this all set, then it's ready to cut. And actually, you know what, just to bring this out to show you, these are the petals. So then what you want to do is you want to kind of measure your cutter. So if you can find a cutter that is already elongated, kind of in an oval shape, then you're really good to go. I might even go down a notch, go down to the next size, because as I elongate, I'm going to be spreading, and they'll get the petals will get pretty long. So I want to cut 5 petals, and as I'm pressing, I'm wiggling a little bit so that I know that I have a nice clean cut. And so once I have 5, Then I'm going to pop them over and put them under my acrylic on my practice mat. And that's going to go right in here, just like so. That way they're not going to dry out. The rest of your extra gum paste you'll want to put in a plastic bag, save for later. Make sure that it's nice and tight, and then you can use that for later. Then I'm going to take one of my petals. Make sure that you try and keep the point. It's going to be real important that you try and keep this point. Now we can go over to the petal pad here, and we can roll in one direction. So you want to roll back and forth going in one direction. You don't want to go back and you don't want to fatten them, so you don't want to go this way. So if it's not elongating quick enough for you, you can bring it over to the mat again and then just do a nice roll just like that. Okay, and then once it's nice and thin, then you'll bring it back under and keep it covered and go on to your next petal. Your goal is to make sure that all 5 petals are the same length. If you go a little bit over, don't worry about it. It's not going to be a worry at all. So I just go over and I'm measuring, so just so that you can see that. I'm measuring so that they're the same size. And then I'm going to put this under wraps as well. I'm going to do this 3 more times. Again, I'm starting the roll at the point and I'm rolling forward so that I'm elongating. And that one's a little short. Do one more roll. Ready to go. And grab this one. Same thing, I'm starting at the point. The point's right here. Putting this down on this mat right here. And I'm going to do a little bit of a close-up. That way you can see this process here. And again, you're rolling one way, rolling again the other way. And we're not flipping the paste. We're keeping the paste, down, not flipping it over. We're turning. That way we want to make sure it's not sticking. Last petal. And again, I pick it up so I know that it is not sticking. Rolling back and forth. Just like so. I'll do a little bit of a measure. And we're good to go. All right, now what I'm going to do is I'm bringing the petal pad over, and I just want to do a little bit of thin, and I'm using, this is a ball tool. It's got a metal ball, 2 different sizes on either end, and I like this because I know that my paste is not going to stick. And I'm just going to do just a center thinning, and then I want to go around the sides just real quick, and really on one side just to thin more, because I'm going to take that cocktail stick, and then the cocktail stick will be doing the thinning, and then we're going to do a little bit of a curl. So I'm just giving it a little bit of movement. So you're keeping your ball tool half on, half off, and again I'm going to go down the center, go to one side of my petal, keeping my ball tool half on, half off, thinning that edge, and do it again. So down the center, around the side, last one, down the center, around the side. Now this is where I'm going to take my cocktail stick or toothpick, and what I want to do is I want to form a nice curl. And as you can see with this finished petal, they've got some nice curls right here. So that is my goal. And we're going to take the side that we thinned, and what we want to do is we just want to roll and wrap just like that. I'm going to go back in just real quick, just making sure that I get the bottom edge. Okay, then I'm just going to put that right back down. And again, you want to make sure that all your points are up. And I'm doing a nice wrap again, just like so. Pull the cocktail stick out and then lay that right next to it, and so forth. So you want to make sure you're on that thinned edge and you're rolling. And the next one. You have to work pretty quick if you you're in the summertime. Depending on where you are in the nation, or gosh, if you're in a different country, if it's a little bit on the dry side, you have to work a little bit quicker. If you have a little bit of humidity, then you definitely have to have your cornstarch readily available. All right, and then the last one, again, I'm getting a nice curl, just like so. Okay. Then we are ready to put these together. And in order to help us form what I have here, and I'm going to zoom out just a little bit. This is a flower former. You can find these at any cake supply shop, probably not a craft store. They don't usually carry these guys. And this is for a throated flower. Now what I want to do is I want to put them in a fan, lay these down in a fan kind of motion, and I'm going to take a little bit of gum glue on my brush and just lay that down. Not too much. And then you want to make sure that the tips are in line. Okay. The one thing is, if you have one petal that's just a little bit larger than the other, you know, don't worry about it. Nobody's going to see the bottom of this flower. Okay. And again, I'm not dipping back into the gum glue. I'm just using what's on my brush. And again, down at the bottom, just a little bit of gum glue. And I've created my fan. Now at this point, make sure that you don't have any gum glue on your fingers. And what you want to do is you are going to lay these right into the cavity right here. And you're going to allow some fanning to go on. So that's why you don't want to use too much gum glue, because if it gets a good stick, then you cannot move your petals. So I'm moving them to where they're going to be kind of like in a star shape. The plumerias that grow in my yard, when they grow, they're really kind of fanning out, and they kind of look a little bit like a star. Now the last petal, once I have it nice and fanned out, I'm going to go back with a little bit of gum glue and just allow that to stick. Now the other thing that you want to make sure that you're doing is you want to make sure that you cornstarch before, which I already did, but you want to make sure that you cornstarch the cavities. So then you want to have your petals kind of fold out just a little bit, and then they'll dry. Usually in about an hour they're pretty dry, but I usually will wait until overnight and have them dry completely. So then once they're dry, then you can dust. And what you're going to be using for dust usually is like a food powder or petal dust. And the petal dust that I have is, I have a petal dust that I buy from, this is from Crystal Colors. Crystal Colors is an FDA approved food color company, and they sell powdered colors and some pearl dust that are FDA approved, which is very nice. Then you're going to need a dry brush, You definitely do not want to use the wet brush unless you're going to be painting. And all we want to do with these plumerias is dust. So I'm taking a little bit of the dust on my brush, then I'm going to touch into my cap, that way I don't get too much. And I'm going to take my plumeria, and you want to start in the center. And I'm not worried about if I have too much dust right now, because I can always take canned air and blow it out. You definitely, especially if this is for a client, even for your family, you don't want to blow with your mouth. It's just, it's not food safe, because you never know if you have anybody that will eat these. They are quite crunchy at the moment because they're hard. They dry like porcelain. So then all I'm doing is I'm taking all of that color and I want to go all the way to the tips. Okay. Now there are so many different colors of plumerias. They range in colors. The ones that are in my garden are white with the yellow that comes up from the center all the way to the very ends. So then it looks very much like that. And then you can put these on a cake. You just put a little bit of icing on the back. See how you have a nice spiral here, but you can just put a little bit of icing on the back, like royal icing, and then place them on your cake. So if you have any questions, you can go on the cakedecoratingschool.com website, and then we also have Rosie's Sweet Art Studio website, but you can always give us a call, and you will find, here's the website. It is www.thecakederatingschool.com or www.rosiesweetartstudio.com, and you can always call us at 760-744-0447. I sure hope you enjoyed this Plumeria tutorial, and again, if you have any questions, please contact us. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.